Hey everyone, welcome to another one of my LinkedIn live events. I think I am live and my audio and video is also working fine. So, we were supposed to do this live event yesterday, but as you know, those of you who attended, that my internet crashed in the middle and I had to end the event after speaking for 20 long minutes. So hopefully I fixed my internet today, and we will be able to have a problem-free live event today. So today's topic is going to be about how to overcome work anxiety. Now, I specifically coach around confidence and anxiety, so I have seen like multiple types of anxiety that you can think of. I mean, even in context of work, I've seen people getting anxious due to multiple things, and this is why my understanding of anxiety is very different to what you would read in books or what you would read in definitions, because anxiety is something that is very individual to you. The reason is that anxiety is like a trigger. Okay, so before we go into work anxiety, we need to first understand what the hell does anxiety even mean, right? So think of it like this, okay? Anxiety is an emotion that comes up when your body feels unsafe. Now, when I say unsafe, I mean emotionally and psychologically unsafe. Just the way your body will signal you when you are in danger physically, your body also signals you when your body feels that it is unsafe. Right? Your body cannot distinguish between physical unsafety and emotional unsafety. It will trigger the same response. Let's take an example, okay? Let's say that I am about to cross the road and there is a huge truck coming in front of me. My body is going to suddenly go into this anxious mode that, oh my God, I need to do something about it, and I'm going to move away, right? Now, I am someone who's, let's say, very afraid of people who know more than me. Okay, let's say I am someone who's underconfident, and anytime I'm in front of someone who knows more than me, or who's maybe at a higher position than me, maybe who's making more money than me, I feel unsafe. I feel like my self-esteem, my self-confidence, my identity is being threatened. So what is going to happen? Every time I move up in my career, every time I'm supposed to network with people who are, let's say, older than me, know more than me, or people who are, let's say, somehow more accomplished than me, what is going to happen? My body is going to trigger the same response. It is going to tell me, Rianshi, move, leave the situation, this is dangerous for us. So anxiety is a trigger. It's an alarm in your head that every single time your body feels unsafe, it goes off. Now, here is the interesting thing: your body will trigger you even if you're not in actual danger. So, let's take an example, okay? Let's take the same example. Let's say that you are someone who knows more than me, okay? You're more accomplished than me, you're more knowledgeable than me, and I come in front of you. Now, ideally, I need to be around people who know more than me. That is how my level is going to up. That is how, I'm able to learn. So my growth mindset or my goals will tell me that yes, you need to be around people who know more than you. But because of my anxiety that I have not worked on, maybe I have tried to meditate it away, maybe I have watched some stupid mindless courses, maybe I have tried to suppress it, but I've not really understood my anxiety. What is my body going to tell me in that moment? It's going to go into that trigger response. It's going to trigger anxiety. And what is going to happen in that moment? I will start to feel anxious. I will lose my train of thought. I will lose my words. I will feel, oh my God, what is happening to me? I feel underconfident about myself. And in that moment, instead of taking advantage of the opportunity to be in front of you, right? Instead of taking opportunity, instead of utilizing this, what am I going to do? I'm going to either leave the situation. I'm going to experience a flight response. I'm going to leave the situation. I'm going to feel defensive. I'm going to feel bad about myself. I will make it all about myself, right? So this is what tends to happen with people who have anxiety, right? Their body starts to trigger, right? It gives them triggers at any point of time. It feels unsafe. And people, instead of understanding their anxiety, the roots of it, the trauma behind it, what they do is they try to put a band-aid on it, right? And it's okay. I mean, we don't know a lot of, like, anxiety still is not very well understood, and a lot of people still don't understand what anxiety really means. But please understand that anxiety is nothing but a trigger all around, or an alarm that is not really required, right? A trigger that is not really required. That is what anxiety is. See, anxiety is a natural feeling. Okay, in fact, anxiety is one of the things that keeps you safe. It is used for your survival. But you and I, right, we are white collar laborers. We don't really need so much protection. So the fact that you have so much anxiety means that you are in survival mode, right? And what happens when you're in survival mode? your responses are going to be very extreme. That is why you will see anxious people react in very extreme things. They will suddenly quit their job, they will not apply for the positions they are very well perfect for, they will know everything but they will still not speak, they will have extreme reactions, they will go in their shell, or they will suddenly have an anger outburst, right? So even in normal situations when they are not in danger, because they have unresolved anxiety, because they go into this survival mode again and again, their primitive instincts get activated, and your primitive instincts are extreme. So understand that when you don't resolve your anxiety, you are always in the survival mode, and when you are in a survival mode, you can't grow. Your body can only do one thing at a time. Either it can help you to protect yourself, or it can feel safe enough to grow. If you're in the survival mode, you cannot grow. That is why people who are constantly anxious and underconfident do not grow in their careers, or very it is very very difficult for them. Everything feels like a struggle because they are trying to be in the survival mode and grow at the same time. It doesn't work that way, right? To actually grow, you need to feel safe from inside. Your body needs to feel that it's not fighting imaginary problems every single day. So that is why anxiety is still a very misunderstood concept, and that is what I want to bring today, and that is what I want to talk to you about. Now, what is work anxiety specifically? Work anxiety is this feeling of dread, right? This feeling that what, something is going wrong. I don't know what is happening, or the feeling that you get on a Sunday when you're supposed to go work on a Monday, that oh my God, I don't know what will happen. This will happen, that will happen. When you wake up in the morning, you wake up with heart palpitations, or there is this feeling in your body that tells you something is wrong. That's work anxiety. When you're about to go into a meeting, and instead of normal levels of excitement and anxiousness, you feel like, oh my God, I won't be able to speak. You feel frozen. Or when you're in front of a working profession, when you're in front of a senior professional, when they're asking you a question, you feel frozen. You feel like, oh my God, my words are not coming out. That is work anxiety. When your body stops functioning in that moment, when your body constantly has that feeling. So anxiety is also of different levels, okay? So a small level, or an indication that you have work anxiety, is when you constantly have this feeling of dread. Something is about to go wrong. Something is about to go wrong. This, you have heart palpitation. Like suddenly you will experience, your breathing become faster, or your hands may get cold, or you suddenly feel this, huge pit in your stomach, right? So these are small levels of work anxiety. Now when you go to the second level, it's when you wake up in the night thinking about your meetings, about your work. You always have this sense of urgency that, what, I need to complete something. I don't know what, but something needs to be done. Or you feel very anxious when you're sitting and when you're trying to relax with your family. You disassociate, you don't know how to relax, you don't know how to just be in the moment. Your mind is always racing. That's anxiety. The last level of anxiety is getting completely frozen up, experiencing a big burnout, unable to do, like becoming dysfunctional, like having panic attacks. So, one thing that I always tell my clients, and even in my free communities that I have, by the way, if you have not joined in, you're very welcome to join my WhatsApp communities. I write there every single day. So one of the things I often tell people in my community as well is that please don't let things go that worse, right? Often people, approach me to, help them with their anxiety when things have gotten so worse that they've become dysfunctional, right? I have had people who have come and told me that, Riyanshi, I am in tears. I wake up in the morning and now I'm in tears. I'm crying because I'm that anxious, right? Or sometimes people, are aware that they have anxiety at the level 1 and level 2, and they don't actually work on it. They wait for it to get worse. See, I am glad that you are taking help at whatever level you are, but please don't let things get worse, because then it takes that much longer, right? So if you do recognize that you have anxiety, just get coached, work on it, right? It doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be something that has to get worse. Okay. All right. So a few more signs for anxiety is, if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notebook where I write points because I am like a goldfish. I forget things. So a few more signs of anxiety would be constant fatigue, like you always feel very exhausted. Now think about it. Why does exhaustion happen? An anxious person is always thinking. Their brain is always working. Even at night when they're sleeping, the brain is always working. So if you're consuming that much energy, you're consuming energy from your body, no? So you're going to feel very exhausted. So fatigue and exhaustion is very common in anxious people. Another thing anxious people experience is constant ache in their body parts. Now, I will not go into depth. Actually, there is a relationship between trauma and body aches, and trauma and chronic health issues as well. But just to let you know that when you are constantly anxious, what is happening is that your body is releasing stress hormones, right? Because your body is going into survival mode, right? Because you are indulging in your anxiety, you're not healing it. It's going to go into survival mode. It's going to go into that mode of fight or flight. So stress hormones are being released, and you need to understand that stress hormones are only supposed to be released in your body when something is very wrong, when you really need your body to channel its energy somewhere. Now imagine what is happening with an anxious person. Every single day they are releasing stress hormones. Every single day they are, worrying and ruminating and banging their head over something. So because there's an excess imbalance of things that is happening in the body, they start to develop aches in the body. Something that we have often seen is aches around their head and the back. Like we see a lot of backache, and we see a lot of headache in people who are very anxious. Otherwise, some people develop chronic backache issues. Some sort of illness starts to come in. So that is also a very big sign that your anxiety has now come to a level that it's taking physical form. And by the way, if you're interested in understanding how trauma affects us in different areas of our life, I actually have a free training called Healing Childhood Trauma. It's a 4-day training, and it's available for free inside my WhatsApp community. You can just go into the feature section of my profile and you can find the training there itself. All right. So let's talk about how does anxiety actually happen, right? What needs to happen for someone to feel anxious at work? Now, work anxiety is triggered by two. Like we can look at it that it comes from two places: external and internal. External external triggers of work anxiety would be toxic culture, having unsupportive colleagues, having an environment where there is a fake sense of urgency, right? Where everybody is just saying do work fast, and there's this deadline, there's that deadline, like there's this fake sense of urgency, right? Or there is an environment of low trust, like your company is laying off people left and right, and your leadership is not able to tell you that you have the job or not. That, or you've just changed your teams and you suddenly have a new manager who's very unsupportive of you, or you have a boss or a manager who's very abusive or stuff like that. Now these are the external factors. Internal factors is when you are very fearful as a person, right? You're very afraid. Maybe you're afraid of losing your job, maybe you're afraid that I'm not good enough, maybe you're afraid that I'm not competent enough, maybe you're afraid what will people think of me. Or you are someone who's just anxious by nature, right? Like it doesn't take you long for you to become very anxious. You have insecurities, you lack confidence and stuff like that. Now again, what I have seen is that people are very quick to blame external factors, right? They're very quick to say, yes, you know what, this is a toxic culture, that is why I'm anxious, this is this, that is why I'm anxious, my boss is like this, my colleague is like this, and xyz. But from my personal experience and observation, I've coached hundreds of professionals, and this is an unbiased opinion, is that people who don't heal their internal anxiety, right, who don't work on their personal growth, always end up in situations where external anxiety gets triggered, like external stimulus triggers their anxiety. So people who are already anxious, people who are already prone to getting triggered very easily, who have lack of confidence, who don't trust themselves, who have not worked on their personal growth, they tend to feel anxious very easily. So it's not always external circumstances. Okay, let's take an example. Okay, let's say that you and I are working in the same organization, and you are someone who's very secure in who you are, and I am someone who's underconfident, but I'm hiding it from everyone. Okay, I don't want to work on myself. I think personal growth is something that I will do one day, so I'm not taking it seriously. Let's say that you and I both join a new team, and we come across, let's say, a leader or a team leader who is not exactly very communicative, right? He doesn't give positive feedback. He's quick to give negative feedback, but he's not quick to give positive feedback. Now you are very secure in who you are, right? Because you have worked on yourself. Even if there was insecurity, you are working on yourself, or you have worked on yourself. So when your leader does not give you positive feedback, you don't get anxious about it. You either go seek it, right? You go and create a communication channel with your senior, or you don't take it personally. But here I am, I am underconfident, I don't trust myself. So every single time I see my team leader not actually giving me feedback, I start hyperventilating. I will get anxious. I will feel, oh my god, I'm worthless. I don't know anything. This person is toxic. My team leader is toxic. Right? I will start liking those posts on LinkedIn who call the entire culture toxic. But what I will not do, I will not look within and see. that why is someone's behavior bothering me at this level, right? So because I am already an underconfident person, my reaction to things will be a bit extreme, and I am more prone to be anxious, right? So that is why I always recommend those people that who, if you are prone to anxiety, please work on it. Because see, it's not practical that you will always end up in situations where people will always give you feedback, or where people will, every single person will be supportive. We have to be a bit realistic about it. So it may not always happen, right? So in that case, what are you going to do, right? How many jobs are you going to quit, or how bad are you going to feel about yourself? When your internal world is strong, when you are confident from inside, you don't really seek validation from outside. And this point is something I'm gonna again, bring forward. It's about feedback and validation. So I was going to mention it otherwise, but I want to mention it now as well. So one thing I've seen with a lot of anxious people is they need validation from outside a lot, right? They want someone to tell them you're doing a great job. They want someone to actively tell them that you're doing good, you're doing good, you're doing good, because they lack inner safety, right? And when you lack inner safety, you rely on other people. Now these people confuse validation with feedback, right? They think that I'm just seeking feedback. Why are people not giving me feedback? But understand that feedback is constructive in nature, right? You seek feedback from a place that I want to improve. That is why I want feedback. But someone who seeks validation comes from an insecure place. They come from a place, oh my God, I want to know if I'm doing a good job or not. I want to know if I'm worthy or not. I want to know if I'm good enough or not, right? So they come from a place like that. And you need to understand that when you are, going higher up in your corporate career, when you're climbing the corporate ladder, when you want to go into a leadership position, or you know what, even if you're doing a business, okay, the more higher up you go, the more successful you become. You need to understand that not everybody around you is going to come and tend to your insecurities. It is an unsaid expectation in your career that you will actually work on your personal growth. Like, this is not something, it's not like school that your teacher is going to come and tell you that, oh, you know what, you should work on your confidence. It's an unsaid expectation, because as an adult, your personal growth is your responsibility, right? So if you don't work on it, you are going to be someone who will not initiate projects. You will be someone who will always be scared. You will not answer when you know the answer. You will not take up projects even when you're talented. There are many talented people who are anxious, who don't go very far in their careers because of the same reason. They blame other people, they blame the culture, but they don't look at why exactly am I feeling so anxious, or what is it that I need to do to heal my anxiety, right? So when you're not a self starter, when you're not initiating things, no matter how talented you are, if you're not actually visible, how will you be someone who will be given promotion, or how will you be someone who people will consider, right, to give their projects to, or to, take a lead? Because a leader is someone, and no matter where you are, right, even in business, right? For example, if I am someone who's sitting at home thinking that, oh my God, I'm so talented, people should come to me, but I'm very anxious to put myself out there, I'm very anxious to actually talk to you, right? So what will happen? My business will fail. So it's the same thing with your career as well. If you are working in a company, if you're working in a job, no matter how talented you are, if you don't heal your anxiety, it's going to affect your performance. Now, another way this affects your performance when you don't heal your anxiety is the indecisiveness and procrastination. So when you're anxious, right, you're always second guessing yourself. Now, what happens when you second guess yourself? You delay your work, your deadlines are getting pushed, and what it does is it creates a image of you in the organization, that this is someone who we cannot rely on, because this is someone maybe who doesn't know how to do their work properly. But in reality, you're very talented, but because you're so anxious, you're second guessing yourself, you want to push and push and push. And anxious people are also a bit bad at making decisions, because they don't actually trust themselves. So when you're not decisive, you're not coming across someone who, will be considered for higher positions, or for a higher pay, or for different positions in different companies. So you must understand that it's not just your basic, a craft, right? Whatever you are, maybe you're a programmer, maybe you're a developer, maybe you're in consulting, maybe you're a coach yourself, maybe you're a marketing professional. No matter wherever you are, what craft you're practicing, that's just one part of it. Other part of why people actually will give you recognition, no matter where you are, why people will actually pay you, is when they think that you have the personality like that, right? which does not go well if you have a lot of anxiety and you're not actively working on it. It's okay to be anxious, okay, it's okay to have anxiety and take help for it. It's not okay to have anxiety and then blame other people and feel bad about yourself, right? Okay, so we're going to look at how do we actually heal our anxiety. How is it that we differentiate that we have anxiety? How is it that we understand the root cause of it? So before I do, I'm just going to quickly see whether my audio and video is fine, because yesterday was a bummer. Don't want to repeat that. Okay. I think there are a couple of questions people have. So you can send in your questions in the comment section or in the DMs. I am checking my phone in the middle as well. I just don't want it to go the way it did yesterday, where it just went off. All right. So the very first thing you need to do when you're anxious is you need to identify what am I anxious about. Now, because we tend to not understand anxiety very well, we don't really know what we're anxious about, right? There is this constant what do you say, stream of thoughts. There is a sense of negativity, there is a sense of worry all the time, but you're not able to put a finger on what exactly are you anxious about. So I'm gonna count a few reasons, okay, which are the most prominent ones where people feel work anxiety. If you resonate with these reasons, great, you'll be able to identify right now in this event itself. If you feel that maybe there are another reasons, you're very welcome to book a call with me, a coaching call, and we can figure it out in depth. And we will also be doing a trauma healing session where we'll be able to see how can we release your anxiety from your body, right? All right. So the very first reason why people feel anxious is job dissatisfaction. Now, what do I mean by this? Job dissatisfaction is basically when you are not happy with your job, and the reason could be anything, right? Maybe you have switched your industry and you realize that, oh my god, what I was expecting is not what I am doing, so I'm not happy. Maybe you're not happy with your pay, you feel that you're being paid very less as compared to the work you're doing. Maybe you are unhappy with your colleagues, you feel like my colleagues are very unsupportive. Maybe you are unhappy with your leadership, you feel like your leaders don't actually care about you. Maybe you are someone who has realized that I am in the wrong career altogether, like I don't actually like what I'm doing. And by the way, I have also made like very extensive live events on how to not have goal blindness and how to actually choose the right career path. So if this topic is something that's interesting to you, just scroll in the event section of my profile and you will be able to find live events. All right, coming back. So when you're dissatisfied with your job, there is a constant sense of anxiety where your body is telling you that what the hell are you doing, and your mind is trying to fight it, that you know what, this is what life is. So that is also what causes anxiety, when you're not actually solving a problem that is there. See, I tell you what, human beings are like problem solving machines. Okay, when we see a problem, we want to solve it, right? There is an instant need to solve it, and when we don't solve it, it creates a sense of uneasiness. Okay, now for anxious people, when they suppress that uneasiness over and over and over again, it turns into anxiety. And when you suppress it for months and years, it turns into high functioning anxiety. High functioning anxiety is when you're having panic attacks, when you're getting worried for no reason, you can't stop crying and other things, right? So when you are dissatisfied with your job, you must first accept it, that this is something that's true. In fact, one of the reasons I was able to tell that I was dissatisfied with my job when I did my very first job was I started feeling anxious. I started dreading my work. When I would open my laptop, I was like, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this. I hate this. And every single day would be like a convincing match where I'm convincing myself, oh, you know what, this is what life is. This is how careers are. So please don't do that. Just accept it that I am dissatisfied with my job. The second reason is toxic work culture. Now, as I told you that when it comes to a toxic work culture, I personally would want to examine it instead of calling something toxic outright. So here we are going to assume that you are actually in a toxic work culture. So what does toxic work culture mean? Maybe you are someone who has no work life balance because your bosses are driving you insane. You are around colleagues who gossip a lot, who make you feel bad about yourself, who are bullying you. Maybe you have a manager who is not giving you the opportunities you deserve, no matter how much you're trying. or maybe you are in a company where they're not paying you well, they are there's a hostile environment. So toxic work culture can also cause a lot of anxiety, because this is literally you feeling unsafe in an environment, right? So this is a very valid reason for feeling anxiety. Now, why I said that this is a bit of a gray area is because toxic work culture is also a bit misunderstood. I feel that we also play a very big role in creating a situation or making a situation toxic, right? So I also would like you to examine what is your role in it, right? Okay. The next one is a very, very common reason. This is something that I've coached the most around to people. It's fear of losing your job. Now, when you have this fear, you are basically afraid every single day that I will lose my livelihood, right? I will literally lose what is paying my bills, what is putting food on my table, what is putting a roof over my head. So that anxiety can be very crippling. When you are very afraid of losing your job, you become very submissive, right? You tend to go into this survival mode where you are trying every single day to survive this thought that no, I will not lose my job. So everything becomes a competition where you're trying to prove your worth to other people, that no, I do deserve this job. So when you are afraid of losing a job, it can create a lot of crippling anxiety. Now you must understand that this fear is 90% internal and 10% external. So for example, if you are in an economy, right, where you are reading a lot about recession, where you're seeing that people are getting fired, or where maybe you have been told that your teammate get laid off, that's a very real anxiety. But why I'm saying it's 90% internal anxiety is because fear of losing your job actually comes from you being anxious as a person in general. So, for example, if I am someone who feels that I'm not good enough and I need validation all the time, right? So I will be someone who will quickly jump to the conclusion that if I do this, I will lose my job. Or one more very big reason is if you have a very unhealthy relationship with money. So if you are someone who's very afraid of losing money, who has a very tight relationship with money, or who's very afraid of getting poor, who's very afraid that, oh my god, what will I do if I don't have any money? So because the money aspect is connected with your job, it can create a lot of anxiety. So this is money induced anxiety, where you confuse it with fear of losing my job, because here you're not actually afraid of losing your job. You are afraid that what will happen to me, what will happen to me if I have no money, right? And this fear can come from a lot of past trauma, right? It can come from intergenerational trauma, it can come from your childhood trauma. So there are multiple sources it can come from. Again, I have made a live event on this also, and I will make more on this specific topic. But fear of losing a job can come from there as well. The next one is the fear of feeling incompetent. So this is when you feel that I'm not skilled enough, and this is a normal thing to feel, specifically when, let's say, you're going into a new project, going into a new company, or you're changing your career, you're changing your job. So it's very normal to feel that I don't know enough. It's a very normal thing. But people who have anxiety, right, and who have a full blown imposter syndrome, they make this a very big deal, right? They may even take rash decisions like quitting their new job, or they will start becoming very submissive to their leaders, or they will stop coming to their job, or they will go into a shell, right? They will start having communication issues. So when you're having anxiety at that level, then that's not healthy. Okay. So here you may feel anxious about the fact that, what, I'm not competent enough, I'm not skilled enough, so why should people hire me, or why should people be even keep me in the team. The next one is fear of criticism. Now, fear of criticism again also tends to come from childhood, when you have been raised in an environment where you were shamed a lot, or maybe you were made fun of a lot, or you were criticized a lot. Then you start fearing criticism because it makes you feel threatened. So for a person like this is where the example of the feedback and validation that I gave you comes into the picture. When you're afraid of criticism, what tends to happen is that you block any kind of constructive criticism as well. And when you block constructive criticism, you are basically not growing, right? You want to be in that area, either in your comfort zone, that I will I know everything here, I know everyone here, so I will not switch my job, I will not change my career, I will not go into a new position because I'm very comfortable here. Or it becomes very ego driven, where you become very egoistic, that nobody can tell me what's wrong, Nobody can tell me what are my improvement areas. So both are again very extreme when you're very afraid of criticism. And when something like this happens, you stop growing, and when you stop growing, you will become irrelevant, right? And this is why I often tell people to work on their anxiety, because you need to understand that there are long term repercussions of it, right? You can try to convince yourself that there is not, but you need to understand that your anxiety does affect your performance, it affects your personality, it affects the way you speak, the way you show up. So it is literally affecting your work, right? And if it is affecting your work, then obviously it will make you irrelevant over a period of time if you don't actually work on it. And you cannot blame it on toxic work culture, you cannot blame it on economy, right? The economy is not going to come and tell you please work on your anxiety. This is something that is a personal responsibility as an adult, right? The next one is overachievers trauma. So this is something I've spoken about in depth both in my free training, healing childhood trauma bootcamp, healing childhood trauma, and I've also spoken about it in detail in one of the live events. So an overachievers trauma is basically when you are someone who ties their self-worth to your work, to achievements, to how much money you're making, to how much recognition you are getting. So when you don't get that, right, when you are not getting recognition, or when maybe you're not getting instant results of what you're doing, you start to become very anxious, because your identity and your self-worth is attached to external things. So you become anxious very easily. You may also have a lot of performance anxiety, wherein before giving, let's say, a speech, or before giving a presentation, or before an important interview, you become very very anxious, so you shut down, right? You will not go for an interview, you will push it, you will do something to avoid it, right? So when you have an overachievers trauma, it can also create a lot of anxiety, because you're constantly looking for this confirmation that yes, I'm worthy. And the next one is personal insecurities. Now let me give you an example of this, okay? Let's say that I grew up in an environment where I was let's say criticized of having a certain color, okay? Let's say that I was criticized that, what, Rianshi, you are very dark, okay? Let's say that I was told that. And now when I go into my office, okay, I see people around me, and I see people dressed up very nicely, I see people getting, like, feeling good about themselves. The first thing I'm going to think is, oh my god, I don't look good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not dressed well enough, I am not speaking the right kind of words, I'm not trendy enough, and stuff like that. And what I will do, I will start distancing myself from those colleagues. Or if, let's say, someone is dressed up nicely, or somebody is speaking in a certain tone, I will feel, oh, this person is thinks very highly of themselves, or this person is looking down on me, so I will alienate myself. Instead of networking, I will alienate myself. Every time I go into the office, I will feel very self conscious about myself. So what have I done? I have brought my personal insecurity from the past, let's say, where maybe I was being made fun of about my clothes, about the way I look, or whatever it is, right? I will come and I will take that personal anxiety, personal insecurity, and I will go and put it on my workplace, right? I will alienate myself, I will become self conscious, I will start to look at other people in a very bad light, I will assume the worst about them, but I will not look at within that I have had this insecurity about myself for a very long time. So when you don't resolve your personal insecurities, right, it spills onto your workplace as well. I'll give you a real life example. So once I was speaking to a leader, very good at his work, and he had a lot of international clients. So this is someone who studied in a Marathi medium school, right? So they had a very strong accent to their tone, and they were able to speak English well. But because they were made a lot of fun of in the like, I think their friends used to make fun of them, not organization, and they were also very self conscious about it. They not only performed very well, okay, they had a lot of international clients, they were very good at their work, but they felt extremely self-conscious. They felt extremely self-conscious that they had a Marathi accent. So they came and told me that, Yanshi, my biggest insecurity in life is the way I speak, right? And where was it coming from? It was coming from the childhood, it was coming from the past. So you need to understand that your personal insecurities can affect your presentation, can affect your communication, can affect your progress at work. So work anxiety is not always triggered by work environment only. It is also a result of things you're carrying from the past, and you're bringing it into the present, right? Now we will now talk about like how do we really solve this, how do we really understand the roots of it. I'm just gonna quickly check if there are any questions so far. Okay, I think so far we don't have any questions, so we can move forward. All right. So, how do we really understand if my work anxiety is real or not, or is my anxiety even related to work or not? So, the very first thing you do when you are anxious about something is you ask yourself, is my anxiety factual, or is my anxiety trauma related? What do I mean by this? Let's take an example from what we've discussed so far. Okay, let's say that I am anxious about losing my job. Okay, let's say I'm anxious about that. Now I need to check facts, that is this something, that is real? Like, have I actually been told that I will lose my job? Have I actually listened from someone that, what, you're going to get laid off? Or am I actually, being told by my manager that you're not performing well? And even if I am being told by my manager I'm not performing well, is this real, or is my manager simply saying this out of spite? So I need to do a lot of fact check. For most anxious people who are afraid of losing their job, the answer is always no. Nobody has actually come and told them that, yeah, you can lose your job. We are going to lay you off. But they do feel this anxiety. So what is this now? This is trauma induced anxiety. There is some trauma that you've not worked on. Maybe it is money induced trauma. Maybe you are afraid of losing your job because you think you will be worthless if you're not working. Maybe you're afraid of losing your job because you think that people will look down on me. What will people think of me? What is all this? This is not work anxiety. This is trauma induced anxiety, right? This is coming from a place where your work is not responsible for this. You're putting this on your work, right? So let's take another example. Let's say that I feel that I'm not competent enough, right? I'm not skilled enough, and this is something I'm feeling anxious about. Now I need to ask myself, has actually someone come and told me that I'm not competent enough? Has someone actually come and told me that, what, you shouldn't be doing this job? Has someone come and actually told me that, what is this, who even hired you? If the answer is no to all of that, then it is not work induced. It is made up in my head. And maybe there is a deeper reason from the past where I have carried this in my chest, in my body, that I am not good enough and I am searching for validation from outside. If, let's say, I am someone who constantly wants feedback, and I am, let's say, working with a leader who is not like that, right? Who's simply not like that. So in that moment, if I'm getting anxious about my place in the organization, I'm getting anxious, oh my God, am I doing a great job or not? I need to ask, has someone come and actually told me that I'm not doing a good job? If not, then where is this anxiety coming from? Why do I feel that I'm not good enough? Why is it that I constantly think about that I'm not skilled enough? So where is this coming from? It's not coming from your job, right? It's not actually coming from your work. So let's take another example, right? Let's say, so I was talking to someone a while back, and they told me that, Rianshi, I feel anxious every single day because I don't actually, feel happy at my work and all of that. So when we spoke deeper, he then told me, that I don't like my job. Like, I hate my job, and I'm just doing it because, I feel that I need to do it. I'm 28 years old, and if I switch my career at this point, they actually wanted to enter into the coaching industry, that, what will happen. So when something like this is there, you are feeling anxious when you're going to work every single day, right? Because obviously when you're not interested in the work you're doing, you are afraid of being caught. You are afraid that, somebody will find out that I actually don't like my work. So here you can't blame your work. Your work is not responsible for your anxiety. Your choices are, your fears are. So ask yourself, is my work related anxiety really coming from work, or is it coming from my own decisions, my own fears? Like, for instance, if you have a toxic manager who's, let's say, verbally abusing you, or who's, making difficult for you, that is a very real work anxiety, because that is actually coming from external environment. But if you are someone who's afraid of talking to your boss, who puts his boss or her boss on a pedestal, then it's your problem. So ask, right? Is it really real, factual, or is it something that is coming from my own fears? And if it is coming from my own fears, then what is my decision? Do I want to sit and feel it, or do I actually want to undergo trauma informed coaching? Right? So whatever the problem statement becomes, you get to answer it, right? A lot of anxious people think that they don't have any choice in their life, which brings me to another topic, wherein trauma induced anxiety often makes you feel helpless and powerless. It makes you feel like you have no control over your life and situation. It makes you feel like, oh, you know what, you can't do anything at all, or that you're a victim of your life, or you're victim of circumstances and situations. So if that is the case, again, that's a very big sign that there is some childhood trauma, or there is some intergenerational trauma. So in that case, you need to go and undergo trauma informed coaching to actually work on this. Like, you can't sit and feel powerless and feel like a victim and helpless, because that does not solve the situation. That does not take the anxiety away. It in fact intensifies it. So you need to know that helplessness and powerlessness is also not something that is coming from a work anxiety base. It is coming from you making a wrong choice again and again, right? Now, another reason why you may be very anxious is, um, see here, I wanna take a trauma informed perspective to actually want to let you know how anxiety develops. See, we all are born with a nervous system. Okay, our nervous system is basically how we perceive things, how we feel things. Now, our nervous system likes to feel safe. Okay, and our safety is something that starts to develop. Our inner safety is something that starts to develop in our childhood. When you grow up with a lot of critical parenting, right? Your parents are very critical of you, or they always made fun of you, they judged you, they made you feel, oh my god, what will people think of me, and other things like that. Your nervous system becomes a place where it becomes very very highly sensitive, right? You start to fear things very easily. So anxious people tend to have a very hyperactive nervous system. They're always scanning the environment for danger. They're always scanning, oh my god, I need to be protected from this and this. So when you grow up with a lot of critical parenting, when you grow up with a critical mother or a father, your chances of becoming an anxious individual is very very high, because your safety is tied with your parents, specifically your mother. Your nervous system is tied to your mother's nervous system. And when your mother herself cannot regulate her own emotions, when she herself is very hyper anxious, someone who's very critical of herself and also criticizes you, someone who gets triggered very easily, you as a child do not learn how to regulate your nervous system, and as a result you grow up to become a very anxious adult, right? So when you grow up like this, your nervous system becomes very hypersensitive. Another examples are undergoing bullying. So if you were bullied when you were young, that also makes you very hypersensitive, in terms of how people perceive you. You start to obsess over, what are people thinking of me, what if people make fun of me, and other things like that. So when you have a very highly sensitive nervous system due to trauma, it can make you feel very anxious very easily, right? So in such case, what you do is you go and undergo childhood trauma healing, so that you can release this anxiety from your body. Because here what is happening is that your inner child is the one that feels very very unsafe. He is and she is the one who goes into his shell every time the situation that resembles your childhood comes into the picture. So for example, let's say that you grew up with parents who were very dominating. Like, they would always scold you, they never let you take decisions for yourself. They would always tell you what is right and what is wrong. So you did not really grow up believing that you actually can't make decisions for yourself. So what will happen when you work with your seniors? You may feel very scared in front of them, you may get very anxious in front of your senior leaders, because here they represent the same authority figure the way mom and dad did when you were a child. So you become afraid of authority figures. So you become very anxious in front of them, right? So there could be multiple levels and layers of your anxiety. You need to undergo childhood trauma healing to actually release this, right? Now, another reason why anxiety becomes worse over a period of time is pessimism induced anxiety. Now, because a person has a lot of childhood trauma and maybe they have not worked on it for whatever reason, a person who is a trauma survivor becomes very pessimistic, right? Because pessimism is a coping mechanism. Okay, pessimism is when you think that if I think of all the negative scenarios in the world, then I will be able to come up with 100 solutions. It means I will be safe. But in reality, what happens is when you constantly are pessimistic, you become very habitual of overthinking. And overthinking automatically induces anxiety, right? Overthinking always leads to anxiety. It's like a twin brother sister. They go together. So when you become very habituated of pessimism because of unhealed trauma, that also makes you very anxious. So for example, let's say that someone is not picking up your phone, your parent is not picking up your phone, you will start to become anxious. Your partner has gone to a work trip, you start thinking, oh my god, my partner is cheating on me. Your boss has simply called you in the office that I need to talk to you. You think, oh my god, that's it, I'm fired. What is all this? This is pessimism induced anxiety, right? And pessimism induced anxiety is a direct reflection that there is childhood trauma that you have not worked on, right? So this is uh, this is so far the reasons. And okay, yeah, I missed one more. Suppressed internal triggers. Now what do I mean by this? So let's say that you are someone who's afraid of change. Okay, let's say that you are someone who's afraid of change, you don't like change, and you don't actually talk about it, right? You don't tell people that you're afraid of change. You pretend that that's not really real or that everybody is afraid of it. And let's say that there is a change in your team. Okay, at work there is some sort of a big change, or maybe you're changing your job, or you're changing your careers. In that moment, what's going to happen is everything that was suppressed from the past, your anxiety around change, your anxiety around I'm not good enough, your anxiety around I need someone to tell me that I'm good enough, all of it will come together. So in that moment, you may feel that, oh my God, why is this happening? Something is going wrong. Something is wrong in my stars, right? A lot of people think that I don't know what happened, but suddenly this time period was very bad for me. That is when all the suppressed triggers that you have been suppressing for a very long time starts to burst, right? All of them comes in front of you. So you need to understand that when you suppress a lot of triggers over a period of time, it also results into a lot of anxiety. So for example, I'll tell you that I worked with a client of mine who had a lot of relationship anxiety actually. So there were a lot of things that she was not okay with in her relationship with her partner, but she kept on suppressing. It came to a point that she's completely lost her trust in her partner, and anything and everything her partner would do, she would become anxious. And when we went deeper, we saw that she was suppressing a lot of things from a very long time. So she was not only suppressing her partner's behaviors that she was not okay with, she was suppressing her own fear of abandonment, her fear that she will end up lonely, her the impact of her parents' marriage on her relationship, everything. There was a lot of things. So when you suppress a lot of triggers and when you don't let them come out into the open, when you're not healing them, of course it's gonna one day come out, right? Energy cannot be destroyed. So all the suppressed energy, all the emotions is gonna come out one day, right? Now, just to recap, what is it that we do when we're healing anxiety? Specifically, when you're working with me in my powerful trauma healing container, what do we do? See, the very first thing we do when it comes to anxiety is first we identify what are you anxious about. Okay, what exactly are you feeling anxious about? So we gain clarity there. Second, we dig deeper that what is a trauma responsible for anxiety? Because I'll tell you what, anxiety is a very normal emotion. There's nothing wrong with feeling anxious. I'm telling you that in a month I feel anxious half the time about something that's very normal, right? So anxiety is a very normal emotion. The problem with uncontrolled anxiety, or the reason of uncontrolled anxiety, is unhealed trauma, right? So what we do is we go deeper. In a clarity call that you book with me, what we do is we first draw a family traumagram of you, and we do a trauma healing session with you, wherein we are able to see where is this so much anxiety coming from. Why exactly are you feeling so afraid? Why exactly are you feeling so worried? So we go deeper there. And once we are able to find out what are the childhood traumas responsible, what are the intergenerational trauma that is responsible for anxiety, then we do deep inner work. Every single session that we do trauma work, every single session that we do deep inner work, you start to see your anxiety melting away and you become free. You start to feel confident and free in yourself. And that is how actually a permanent shift in your personality happens. It doesn't happen through take tricks or tapes, or I don't know what people are making courses on anxiety and all of that stuff. None of that works. You need to understand that as an individual, your anxiety is very individual to you. For example, maybe you and I are in the same situation in life. We come from the same background. we have the same socioeconomic status, yet my anxiety would be very different to yours, right? So we cannot heal anxiety from a course or takes or trips. We really need to look at our own history and understand our own stories, that what is it that actually, what is the kind of life I have left, what has happened, uh, in my childhood, what is the kind of life I have lived, not left, lived, that has resulted into me feeling this anxious. And only when we're willing to be honest, when we're willing to do deep inner work, that we see a permanent shift in our life, right? And if you're someone who wants to do this deep inner work with me, feel free to book a one-on-one coaching session. You can DM me coaching, and I will tell you how to book it and what's the process like. And by the way, if you are an aspiring coach, I actually have a lifetime coach training and monetization program that I just launched last week. And we have an early bird offer going on right now for this week. It's basically for aspiring coaches who want to become, life coaches, and who want to actually monetize their business and run a coaching business. So basically, do work that I'm doing right now. So if you're someone who is interested in that, you can just drop me a DM that you're, interested in learning how to coach, and I will guide you through that as well. I also have a lot of free communities. You will find all of them in the feature section of my profile. So feel free to browse through. I will just check if we have any questions so far, and then I will take a leave. Okay. How do I book a session? I just said, just DM me coaching to book a session. Um, I can relate with anxiety with authorities. Yeah, I'm glad you understood and you could relate. It's very common. A lot of people who tend to have father wound as well, or who tend to have dysfunctional relationships, with their parents, struggle with, having a good relationship with authority figures. Again, I've done a very extensive live event on this. You will be able to find it under the event section of my profile. See, unfortunately, I could not upload all of my LinkedIn live events on YouTube. By the way, I upload them on YouTube too, because earlier I didn't used to download the recordings, and the recordings vanished. So you will be able to find it under the event section of my profile, or the recent events that I've done, like past 6 7, that you can find on YouTube as well. You can like search Dianshi everyone, and you'll be able to find it. I don't think we have any more questions. Just a few thank yous, and you're very welcome. Thank you for showing up. I will be doing the next live event most probably tomorrow. I will announce what is the topic today itself. So keep a watch out on that. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. If you would like to read my content every single day, you are welcome to join in my WhatsApp communities. I have like different communities for different reasons. So you can find all of them in the feature section of my profile. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.